Hi, we're anchored on Java, on the east coast of Java. We just arrived yesterday from Bali, and I'm having a rest day today. We had a great sail yesterday and arrived here, and then I decided to make some water in the afternoon, and the water maker, or the filters on the water maker, decided to throw their seals for some reason. Old age, I think. Must be a year old now. Water was pissing everywhere, so I spent yesterday afternoon fixing that, and then the cooker decided one of the burners didn't work, and then there was a plastic bag in the seawater strainer for the engine. Yeah, so it was one of those days yesterday, so the boat was in chaos, so I decided to have a day off and do a little bit of tidy up and get everything working again and shipshape. A few of the people watching the videos have asked me to give some commentary on the boat and do some video of the boat and what it's like inside and everything else. So here we go. So Truce was built in 1988 by a gentleman who was a very experienced sailor. He'd done at least one circumnavigation with his young family and wife on a boat he'd built previously, his first boat. And then the family grew up and he built this boat specifically for him and his wife. So it was both built for two people, and we've had 5 people on board, and we can sleep 5, but it does tend to get a little bit cramped, and 2 people is absolutely ideal. So the whole thinking behind the boat is good quality boat, fairly light, robust, and with very simple systems. The hull is 3-skin red cedar, and she's built with the West epoxy system. And in the forward cabin here you can see the planking and how it's laid up, and that's red cedar planking, diagonal fashion with yellow cedar beams. And then she has mahogany trim, cupboards, doors, tables, etc. Very much in the old traditional style. The berth up forward cabin, settee either side of a folding table in the main cabin. Then the work area, galley, chart table, and heads aft. A wet area, very much a working area, and with a quarter berth as well. So very simple, very robust, strong lightweight construction, and the boat's also insulated. So underneath the deckhead here there's about 1 inch of insulation, and on the sides as well. So she's a very warm boat. So this is the galley area, pretty traditional galley for an older type of boat, U-shaped galley with an oven at the end. Countertop, double sink, and then just drains straight down through the bottom of the boat, so it drains on both tacks, no problem at all. We've got a pressure water system, which I've disconnected the hot water from. We've taken all that out. We just use cold water now. There's no need for having hot water on the boat. We've got a salt water pump as well, which is a foot pump. And we've also got a freshwater pump as well. And as you can see, I use the sinks for storage when at sea, very handy. Adjacent to that, we've got a locker with pans and bits and bobs in it. Got some tomatoes in there. We've also got a pot rack. Everything stays in there at sea and never pops out so far. There's some storage behind the oven. It's a Force 10 oven. Pretty reliable. Can make bread in it. Nothing much to go wrong, and if it does go wrong I can get spare parts for it, no problem at all. In here there's what used to be an ice box, and I've converted it into a fridge. Put a holding plate into it. I got some essential supplies in there. And to convert it I just used a
small isotherm compressor and put a holding plate in the ice box, made it into a fridge, and it works just fine. It's lovely. It's all 12 volt, very simple and very efficient. More storage underneath the sinks, and something else I did, I put in little holders for all the through hole blocks or plugs, so we know where they are and what they are. They're all adjacent to the through holes, so no need to go scrambling around for them if you're in an emergency. Standard cutlery drawers, and you've just got the drop lock, which is full of ladies' tools in here. Yeah, foot pump there. A little bit more storage underneath the cooker, and that's it. It's pretty basic, but that's good. Simple is good. On the opposite side, we've got an old traditional chart table. Proper chart table takes a full-size chart, although we don't very often use charts anymore, but it's a proper chart table that you stand up to, which would be very useful in its day. Behind that we've got a grab bag. We've got some rapid sight reduction tables in case I ever feel the need to get the sextant out. We've got a radio battery box there which just services the radio, and it's separate from the other batteries. And then underneath the chart table we've got a lifting lid from the chart table, so we can put charts underneath. And then we've got drawers which I've just segregated up into basically food lockers. I've got all kinds of food in there, and it's all compartmentalised so it doesn't rattle around too much when you're at sea. Yeah. And one of my new toys I got is a vacuum pack thing, so you can see I've got some palm sugar here, and it's just solid like a rock. It will keep for a long time and the insects won't be able to get into it. And then we've got another little drawer here with all various bits and bobs in it. It's all compartmentalised, so it's easy to keep stuff where it should be and find it if you can remember where you put it. And then we've got a bottle rack under there. That's for the wine and whiskey and rum and gin. And then we've got some serious man tools in here. Hammers, saws, chisels, clamps, you name it. That's all in there. Yeah, so that's the main sort of navigation area, if you like. VHF there with the GPS in it, and that's an Icom, so that's a pretty good brand. Icom make very good radios. And the clock, barometer, charging station, and I put the 2.4 amp chargers into there so they charge a little bit faster as well. I got a couple of these remote speakers, wireless speakers, which are really good because I can even connect the VHF wirelessly to a wireless speaker and have it in the cockpit. Although I do have a handheld VHF that I normally keep in the cockpit. We've got the Predict Wind data hub, which is not connected at the moment because I've cancelled the Predict Wind plan. It's just too expensive. It works out a couple of dollars a day, and I'd rather spend it on beer or other things. So stepping into the toilet area, or the head as some people call it, we have the grating in there so you can have a wet shower if you need. Sink, mirror, normal things. The toilet is a Lavac Zenith toilet, works on a vacuum system, very simple to operate. Just follow the directions which are on here and give the few pumps, and there's very little to go wrong. And if it does get blocked, which it only ever has done once, you just spin this front of the pump off, clear the blockage, put it back, and away you go again. And then this diverts to straight over the side or into a holding tank, which is in the aft locker. Then the holding tank just dumps directly down into the sea. More storage under here. Got all kinds of huge storage down here. Got all kinds of stuff. We've got towels, filters, fly spray, even a hot water bottle in there, which I have used on a few occasions. Yeah, also in the toilet area there's a place where you can hang stuff. If you've got any wet clothes or anything else, and they just drain down into the bilge. And then there's a little store down in the back here, which is sort of called the bosun's store. It's a bit untidy at the moment. I've been working in here. But we've got spare parts in here, lots of different screws. We have also in here boxes of more spare parts, more parts, spares, yep, more spare parts and bits and bobs. And then also in here I've got a water maker which I made myself, and there's the filters there going through the pressure pump up through the membrane, and then I can either tap it off through a hose into bottles, or I can send it directly to one of the water tanks. And here's a pressure gauge with a little pressure, what do you call it, regulator here, so I can regulate it normally around about 800 psi. And touch wood, that's been working absolutely fine, apart from a couple of little leaks on joints and stuff where seals have gone. Just poor quality seals, really. Oh, before we get to the quarter berth, I'll just show you this. This is my little rice cooker, which I picked up from one of the online stores in Indonesia called Tokopedia. It's a 200 watt rice cooker, so I can run it off the inverter. Absolutely brilliant piece of kit. It makes rice in about 40 minutes, 30-40 minutes. I love it. I love it. So here's a quarter berth. Stuff hanging up here, just tethers, life jacket, bits and bobs. Here's the main electrical panel. On-off switch and parallel switches for engine, winch, house batteries, etc. And then a dual switch there for the inverters. This is the big old whale bilge pump, 30 gallon per hour. It works extremely well. You've got to be quite fit to use it for any length of time. Quarter berth is a great place to sleep at sea. If you're all wet and you just want to lie down in your oilskins and get a nap for a few minutes, it's really good. It's handy. You don't need to get wet stuff into the salon. You just tuck yourself in there, boots and all. So in here we've got more storage. We've got pump spares down the end there. We've got the stuff like a paint locker type stuff with all different bits and bobs in there. We've got our electrical locker here with some of the fuses, various bits and bobs. And I'll show you the battery locker in a minute when we get to it. That. Then we've got epoxy glues and mats and fillers and glass fibre, all kinds of tools, paint trays, guns, mastics. Here we've got some more stuff, books. Here we've got a couple of Raymarine autopilots and a steadying staysail there for when we're anchored in heavy weather. In here's all rope, shackles, tethers, strops, all kinds of stuff in there. Small cordage in here, little ropes and various things. There's my sextant down the end there, and a couple of cushions. And then underneath this mattress there's more and more storage under there. Here's the header tank for the engine. And down there's the seacock and the strainer for the engine as well. Then you notice next to all the seacocks I put in little bungs and labelled them, so not only can I remember what they are, but also people coming on board can also remember what they are. I got some more there underneath the sink. Just keeps things a bit tidier and stops them from rolling around and getting lost as they normally do. So the engine lives underneath the steps under here. So that's it all down in there. It's a little Yanmar 3GM engine. I've had a little bit of trouble with it in the past, but it's always been fixable quite easily, and I just try and look after it as best I can. So here we have the bilge area. It's the starboard bilge, and you can see some of the construction here. There's the forward end. There's the white hose is the drain from the anchor locker. Over here we have a through hole for the transducer. And then down the aft end is the bilge box. So the shower drains into this bilge box, the anchor locker drains into the bilge box, and if we get any serious water in the bilge, that would also drain into the bilge box. There's an automatic pump here, which is working okay. On the other side is pretty much identical, apart from the bilge box. I've installed a, what do we call it, a bilge alarm on the other side, and there's a switch for it just here. And there's a little tap there for the water maker, and the water maker feed pump is just there. And here's the shut-off valve for the starboard fuel tank, and there's an identical valve on the other side for the port fuel tank. And underneath this little hatch down here, we've got the switch over for the fuel tanks, port and starboard tanks, and also some piping for the freshwater system. So you can take it up to the freshwater pump from either tank, or put it into the foot pump for the galley. Yeah, so simple bilge layout, and it's normally kept dry. We do get some water, and if we're sailing and we get heavy rain or heavy spray sea over the boat, it will leak down sometimes through the cockpit lockers, but mostly it's dry in here. And it's quite a shallow bilge, so it doesn't take much water to look like you've got a lot of water in, but there's not really. Yeah, so that's the bilge. So that's a little tour around Truce. As like I said, simple boat, easy to maintain, easy to sail. Yeah, good for single handling. No great loads on anything, which is good, seeing as I've only got one arm working properly at the moment. Yeah, she does me good. She's safe, predictable, easy to sail, does good speeds, and I'm very happy. Looking forward to new adventures.